Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach, and for the last week I've been driving the 2025 Range Rover Sport Dynamic SE plug-in hybrid. Up front is a 3.0 liter turbocharged straight six, as well as a plug-in hybrid system, and down below is an 8-speed automatic transmission. Now, I'm super excited to be making this video here today because I've spent the last week driving the Range Rover Sport as my own vehicle. And I was a little intimidated for sure. This is my first Range Rover loan, and so this is the most amount of time I've spent with a Range Rover. I've driven it to many different places that we'll talk about with the final thoughts, and so I am here today to give you the what's what on if this is good or if it's extremely overpriced. But if you'd like to submit your own vehicle and have it reviewed here on the channel, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. And if you'd like to see all my videos weeks or sometimes months in advance, you can head on over to my Patreon for only $5 a month. But let's get back to that 3-liter straight six under the hood with the plug-in hybrid system. So it is a very interesting drivetrain. First of all, we have the 3-liter straight six. We saw this in the Land Rover Defender that we reviewed not too long ago. However, here it is paired to a plug-in hybrid system, and there's two very interesting and good things about it. First of all, it can fast charge. So you are able to charge this at a fast charger. It took about 40 minutes for a full charge, which was great. I did my grocery shopping and actually had to unplug it before I was even done shopping. So it took longer to buy groceries than it did to charge the car. But a lot of plug-in hybrids do not offer quick charging capabilities. So definitely nice to see that. The other really great part is that you can drive it in complete EV mode at any speed. So some plug-in hybrids limit you to like 50 or 60 or even 30 miles an hour in electric mode. I took this all the way up to the Illinois national speed limit, and it stayed in EV mode. On a full charge, you get about 55 miles of all-electric driving, which is fantastic and the best that I've seen from a plug-in hybrid that I've tested. Now, like I said, paired to it is an 8-speed automatic transmission. Does the job, does it well, no complaints. Last but not least, of course, this is a Land Rover product, so it is 4-wheel drive. How does it feel to drive the Range Rover Sport? Well, I like it a lot. Here's the thing. In electric mode, it's gutless. It is not very quick or fun as an EV, but you can drive it in complete EV mode. And the whole first day that I had it, I drove everywhere in just EV mode, and I thought, it's fine, whatever. Then I kicked it into hybrid mode, where it enlists the help of that 3-liter straight six turbo, and it really kicks it up a notch. Then it's fast, then it's fun, then it drives great. So it's two completely different experiences that you'll get here in the Range Rover Sport, dependent on mode, and I really like that. Simple around town, urban driving, electric mode is perfect. But on the highway, you want that imported highway cruiser feel. You certainly get that here with hybrid mode. Love that dichotomy. Visibility is okay. Ride quality is great. Ride quality is really nice, noticeably nice. I drive tons of SUVs every single week. Let me tell you, they mostly all ride the same. This does feel a foot above the rest. And that is a nice feeling. Just very plush and very comfortable. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have a completely digital gauge cluster. This has been really easy to read, easy to see while driving. You can customize it. I think this really does utilize the best attributes that come with a digital gauge cluster. I think it does it really well. On the steering wheel, on the left, we do have some selectors as well as skip track and volume. And off to the right, we do have adaptive cruise as well as our heated steering wheel. Off to the left, we have a climate control vent and this giant piece of tan leather. Love to see that. And down below, we have the tailgate and gas cap release. And moving out of the door, we have our Meridian sound system speaker. We get some nice mix of materials on the door card, our power seat adjustments, along with 3 memory seat options, power mirrors, power folding mirrors, and of course, power windows. Moving into the center, you get more climate vents with the hazard switch and the infotainment display. Now, unfortunately, the climate controls are ran through the screen, as well as the volume knob is ran through the screen. I don't overly love this, to the point where I was trying to change the volume and my girlfriend was trying to change the temperature of her zone, and you cannot do both at the same time. This wouldn't have been an issue with physical controls, but it is now an issue here with the screen. Overall, I think the screen is easy enough to use. I think it has a decent amount of usability. It's not the most frustrating thing in the world, but it is pretty much everything in the screen. It does have a 360 camera, which has been very, very nice. And the sound system is fantastic. We do have an openable cubby down below with a wireless charger. We have the shifter and the start-stop button, but nothing surrounding it. And then we do have cup holders down below. So we'll do a big friggin' bottle test, and with a touch of persuasion, it actually does in fact pass the big friggin' bottle test. Then we get a center console and the seats. The seats are very comfortable as well. They are heated and ventilated. Nice to see that. I would have liked to have seen massage seats for the price tag, but unfortunately this Range Rover Sport does not come with it. But overall, they've been really nice. However, speaking of seats, we do have back seats, so let's go do a back seat review. All right, so we're in the back of the 2025 Range Rover Sport Dynamic SE, or SE Dynamic. I forget which one it is. Actually, I could check. Nope, that's an Acura key. Range Rover Sport plug-in hybrid. Okay, that didn't help. Anyway, we're in the back of a Range Rover Sport of some sort, and a couple of things to note. First of all, knee room good, headroom good. These seats are noticeably harder than the front seats. Just something to note, we do have climate vents back here and our own climate controls. I also have my incline and decline here on the door, which is really, really nice to see. Overall, it's a nice back seat. This is a, I don't want to say mid-size SUV. Yeah, I guess mid-size. It's not full size. It's a good size. It's a good size. Let's not get hung up on the specifics here. And I took it to a wedding. I'll share that in the final thoughts segment. But we fit. Everyone had a seat. I drove, 4 other people to and from a wedding, and they were all comfortable. I didn't hear much complaining, although you won't hear much complaining over that booming Meridian sound system. So maybe they were screaming and I just couldn't hear them, but I doubt they were. So very, very nice back seats. I enjoy it a lot. I enjoy the fact that it is a nice, comfy 2-row instead of trying to squeeze a 3rd row. Love to see that. Speaking of which, let's hop into the back and talk about where that 3rd row would have been. Right around the back of the Range Rover Sport, you have a button right here. Power operated tailgate, of course. And once we are back here, a couple of interesting things. First of all, we do have a 12-volt outlet over here. We have these nice cargo nets. Absolutely love that. And we have this really nice premium feeling carpet. It doesn't feel like they spray painted cardboard black and put it in the trunk like some other cars do, which at this price point, I would totally expect. I can pop this up for a little cargo divider. Love to see that. Push that in, push that in, and then you can collapse it. Very nice to see that. But then we do have some buttons over here. So this is for raising and lowering the 2nd row. I have a couple things on that seat. But as you can see, one touch and it will go down. Of course, you'd have to move the front seat forward a little bit. There you go, put it back into place. And then we have buttons over here to raise and lower the vehicle. So if you wanted to load something heavy, you could raise it up pretty high, really high actually. And then we can lower it all the way down. This was actually really helpful for loading groceries in the other night, because we did have a case of water, things like that. And we were able to lower it all the way down. That seems to be the bottom, and now it makes it easier to get things in and out of. So very, very cool to see that from Range Rover. The Volvo XC90, which I would compare this vehicle to pretty heavily, also has a feature like that. So nice to see it here in the Range Rover Sport. Now we gotta talk about the looks. I really like it. I love the look of the Range Rover Sport. I think it definitely has that upscale appearance, and I love seeing Range Rover across the hood. My neighbors have been giving me looks. I don't know if good or bad looks, but they've been giving me looks. And since I always want to be the center of attention, that has felt pretty good. I think it's laid out pretty well. This is finished in Verazine blue with caraway interior. I think overall it just has that presence that I'm looking for if I were to buy a Range Rover product. With all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving the Range Rover Sport SE Dynamic for the last week? Well, I'll be honest. When I got this car, I really didn't want to like it because it's a Range Rover. You know, they're very expensive. I don't know if I personally will ever be able to afford a vehicle of this caliber. And so I wanted to be like, oh, you know, I wouldn't buy it because of this. I wouldn't buy it because of that. I wouldn't buy, you know, I wanted to have a reason that I wouldn't buy it besides the fact that I can't afford it. But honestly, after a week of driving it, I can't find a reason to dislike this. First of all, the ride. The ride quality is great, and like I said, it's a shoulder above everything else. Everything in here feels refined. I like the materials. I like the Range Rover experience. You know, when people ask me, oh, what car do you have this week? What car do you have this week? You know, I tell them a Toyota Corolla or, you know, Hyundai Elantra, whatever. But this week, I got to say Range Rover Sport, and that was very, very cool. The biggest and best part, though, is the plug-in hybrid system. 55 miles of all-electric driving is wonderful. Take a look at this fuel gauge. You'll notice that it's just barely under full. This is after 150 miles of driving. That's how much fuel I used in 150 miles. Now that's 2 full charges, but if you have a charger at home, you're gonna start the day with 55 miles every single day. You're probably barely going to touch the gas at all. So if you wake up every morning with a free charge at your house, which if you're buying a Range Rover, you can afford to put a charger in, that's incredible. I mean, this is where plug-in hybrids really start to hit their stride, is 50 miles and above, and the Range Rover Sport definitely does that. The other best thing, again with that EV driving, is that this isn't a full electric car. I'd like to tell you a personal story real quick. Thursday night that I had this car, 10 o'clock at night, I get a text from a friend. She said, hey, so-and-so feels bad for not inviting you to their wedding. They would love for you to come. They have a plate for you. It's tomorrow. So with an 18-hour notice, I went to a wedding. And in the hysteria of trying to find my suit, make sure it was dry cleaned and all that stuff, and trying to find a gift and trying to get my affairs in order and trying to organize everything so I could go to this wedding, again with 18-hour notice, it totally slipped my mind about getting gas or charging this car. If I had an EV this week and I ran outside to go to the wedding and I was at 10% battery, I would be hosed. I would miss the wedding. The fact that this is the hybrid, yeah, I had pretty low charge. I had about 10 miles of EV left, but I had a full tank of gas. It wasn't a problem. And so if you run out of electric charge, doesn't matter. You keep driving. And if you're out of gas or very low and you have a full charge after a night of charging, you have 55 miles to figure yourself out. That's more than enough to get to work and back for most people. So because it is the plug-in hybrid and does both sides of the spectrum so great, it's never a worry. And that's a sweet spot to be in. I do think that there's a future for electric. I do think that there's a future for gas cars, but I think this should be our main future, a mix of both, because it opens up a lot of opportunity. And driving this around with that opportunity has just been sensational. As I mentioned, I didn't want to, but I really, really fell in love with the Range Rover Sport plug-in hybrid. This is, I think personally, the best plug-in hybrid on the market. And I know a lot of people can't afford it, but if you can swing it, man, this is pretty good. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Land Rover for letting me borrow their Range Rover Sport for the last week. Huge thank you to G. Schmitz for facilitating the cleaning and delivery of this vehicle, and of course, the Midwest Automotive Media Association. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.